Billy Idol and Sweet 16 on East FM. Now, I've been telling you about this all morning. It is Mental Health Awareness Week from today, the 6th, right through to the 12th. And as part of our ongoing series in association with Crawford Medical, we bring experts in here from time to time to talk about all sorts of different things. We had a lady that was running a wellness class and involving Pilates and yoga and things like that. That was a couple of weeks ago. Well, today, in conjunction with Mental Health Awareness Week, we've got Sean Edwards. Welcome along, Sean. Welcome to East FM.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you for having me.
Oh, look, it's an absolute pleasure. Now, we were talking a little bit off air, and I said that I believe that in the last 5 to 10 years, we talk far more about mental health in the community and mental health between mates and things like that. It's okay to be not okay and things like that. So we're heading in the right direction, but you believe this probably is still a fair bit of work to go.
I do, but you're right. I mean, if you look at the history of New Zealand, we had institutions, asylums, which were not great places, and as we know, they'll be frowned upon nowadays. We've moved quite progressively, so we, like for instance, just touching on Crawford, people in the community can come to me. They can come for half an hour. It's a free service. So you just, as long as you're registered at a GP, you can come see me. But just touching on what you talked about, the way we've come, so there's been a lot of stigma over the years with mental health, so don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll go away. Don't talk about it.
Yeah. So the New Zealand culture is one of being self-reliant. Suck it up. Just don't mention it because, you just don't know what can happen.
And is that, do you think, sort of a correlation between that and our abysmal suicide rate?
Well, that's an interesting subject, but I don't want to get too much into it. I'm happy to touch on. I think it is people don't talk up. I did some studies on people who were bereaved by suicide, and they said, why didn't people tell me what was going on with the person?
Yes.
If I'd known this, if I'd known this medication, I might have been able to do different things. So I might have been able to help the person. So to that point, the encouragement, and particularly this week around mental well-being, is it okay to talk up? It's okay to ask for help.
And how hard is it to get, say, a bloke, a middle-aged bloke or slightly older like myself, how hard is it to get a guy like that to talk up?
Well, as I said, if you go to the model's changed a lot, so you can go to primary care, and a lot of people come to see their doctors and they'll say, look, I'm not sleeping well, or I've got a relationship issue, or I've got an addiction issue, and mention that to your doctor, and doctor will say, look,
we've got a guy.
I always say I do the skills, not the pills, and then I'll find out what's going on. As I said, it's a free service. It was a government initiative about 5 years ago under the Labour government, given the due. They put a lot of money at it, so you get people like me for free, and we come and talk about what's going on in your life.
And in some cases, and I'm only assuming here, but I guess in some cases, a talk is what sort of turns it around a bit.
It does, and I think if from the doctors or the biomedical model, if the doctor tells you, well, your illness is related to mental stress in your life, it might say, because people don't link the two. They go, no, just give me the pills, I'll get rid of this anxiety, or I'll sleep better. But the two are definitely linked. I mean, research shows that now, that there's a clear correlation.
So I've decided that I want to come and see you. How does that work? I ring Crawford and I say, listen, I want to make an appointment with Sean.
Yeah, so just on Crawford, I mean, so you just need to be a registered patient, and we're taking new patients at the moment. So you say, listen, by the way, I've heard on the radio, or I would like to come see Sean as your psychologist, or we call me a health improvement practitioner, or HEP for short. You can go on the app. So there's an app, My Health app, or you can just phone them and they can book a half an hour session. So it's not long talk therapy. What it is really I just get a picture of your life. I often describe it like a Polaroid camera photo.
Yes.
It's blank to begin with. I ask a series of questions, it develops into a picture, and I find what's going on. I take what I call a holistic view. In other words, I try and get all the factors of your life. So love, that's controversial, but it's more to do with who do you live with, who do you connect with, who do you belong with. Then play, how do you relax in life? What do you do? How do you connect with your community itself? So things like that I try and get a bit of a feel for, and then I put it over to you, Phil. I'll say, how can I help you today? And you're the expert in yourself, Phil. I'm not the expert. I've got expertise, but you're the expert in yourself.
Yes.
So
They say that, don't they? You're an experiment of one, and you know more about you than anyone else does.
Yeah, you've got a PhD on yourself.
Okay, so from the initial consultation, do you follow up, or is that...
No, so it's I can, but typically I let the patients drive it. So once again, I'll give you some skills, whatever they may be. It could be a range of things just to reduce what's going on. So once I understand what's going on, I do a bit of what they call psychoeducation. So I explain anxiety to you.
Yes.
And it's basically you've just lost the battle with present moment awareness. It's as simple as that. You worry about something in the future, and then we just talk about how can we detach from that. So I've got a whole lot of skills around that and exercises to make it a bit more understandable.
So if we go back to anxiety, it's when it's a clinical term, you're diagnosed with anxiety. It's more than being anxious, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's what they call anxiety can be a bit complex. So just be careful. And you can get mild anxiety, or you can get sort of generalized, or you can get phobia anxieties like OCDs, and they're fear-based. So we just need to sort of work out what's going on and what it is. So, for example, if I gave you were saying, look, I've got a presentation to do at work,
sure,
or I've got a speech to say, and I can't sleep, I'm worried about it. So to me, we would work out why is that happening, and it might have been an episode you had at school, it might have been something else that sort of triggers it, and so we can work with that, and I'll give you some techniques to reduce the anxiety, but ultimately it's your relationship with the anxiety, because it's going to be there with you. And 40% of my patients have anxiety, or a type of anxiety, and so we normalize it. So when I tell you, by the way, Phil, you're just not the next person.
Yeah,
and once again, you go back to the history.
Unique. Yeah.
You're not unique. I say, unfortunately, you're not that special. You're very, very normal in that regard. I get anxiety, so even coming here to the radio interview, I've got anxiety coming down the street.
Sure.
But good for me. I'm going, I'm aware of it. I'm comfortable with it. It's a natural process, and I'm going to enjoy the talk with Phil. So once again,
with that, and we're not going to get bogged down with anxiety, I promise, but with that, is it better to walk toward it or run away from it?
It's better to accept it.
Yeah.
Accept it, that you've got anxiety. So the acceptance and awareness of it is the key, and it can be treated. There's plenty of research on it now to help you.
I read I watched a podcast the other day, and it involved a friend of mine, Steve Gurney, 9-time winner of the Speight's Coast to Coast.
Yes.
And if you knew Steve or you know his history, he is a very driven man, like very, very driven man. And he opened up in this podcast, and he said he thinks it came from when he was a little kid. He was quite a chubby kid, and he was no good at rugby or ball sports, had no hand-eye coordination. Yep. But he wanted to be an All Black, because every New Zealander wants to be an All Black. Every boy wants to be, and nowadays girls as well.
Yep.
They want to be All Blacks, that's what you aspire to. I did. I played rugby on the front lawn at home, and I wanted to be whoever I wanted to be, David Kirk or Mertens or whatever. Yep. It's not going to happen. But he said, when his mother said to him, "You'll never be an athlete, son," that drove him on to being how he is even today, and he is driven.
Yeah. So in psychology, that's a type of motivation. So, and you get two types. You get external or extrinsic, and internal, which is internal, obviously. His is clearly internal. Or the fact that he won those 9 races, I'm sure at the end of the day that wasn't what it was about. It was about what his mother said to him, that's
exactly what he said in the podcast. Yeah.
And I haven't heard the podcast, but I had I get patients in that will have an eating disorder.
Yes.
And you trace it back, and I said, well, what happened? One day I sat on my uncle's lap, and he said, "Ooh, you're getting chubby." And you can see from that moment how powerful words are. I mean, this is where responsibility comes. How do we talk to people? How do we give them key messages? And how do we actually make sure that we don't cause mental harm?
I'm a bit of a sports nut, and we're sort of divulging away from the topic a wee bit. But you may remember a couple of years ago, there was an inquiry in New Zealand cycling for that very reason. Yeah. One of the coaches said to one of the girl competitors, "Oh, you're putting on a few pounds." But it's a power to weight ratio sport, and it was probably maybe not the way to say it, but it had to be brought to her attention. So there's a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah, I agree. You need to be very careful that your choice of words, just pause before you say it and say, hey, let me use some empathy here. How would I feel if I'm receiving that message? So just pause.
So what we've been doing here, questions, answers, backwards and forwards, is that like a consultation with you, your first one?
No, I'd say this is a radio interview.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'd also, and ours is quite obviously private and confidentiality, so we wouldn't go in public. So no, it's more of a structured thing. But as I said, I do a little bit of assessment to begin with. I get a bit of context to your life, but most of the time I'm really trying to find out how I can help today. And it would be, I've got this issue, that issue. So when you walk out of Crawford or out the session, you've got something tangible and practical to walk away with. And I could give you a podcast to listen to. There's some great ones out there, but I'm quite frugal. In other words, there's a lot of rubbish or so.
Yes.
Or something that really, actually that's made a difference, and I'm going to look at my mental health a bit different.
Now, I see you've brought a poster with them that's 5 ways to well-being. Just give us a rundown on that.
Yes, so this week is Mental Health Awareness Week by the Mental Foundation. So what it is, Phil, is we've got 5 days of the week, and each day we've got a daily tip. So for today, Monday, today's one is connect. So think of listeners out there, if you can call a friend or checking in on a neighbour.
Yes.
How can we connect with the community? So it's mental health weaknesses, we're all stronger together. Tomorrow is about being active. So, getting that exercise. And as we know, research shows any bit of exercise you do gives you a little mental bubble bath, that serotonin or whatever. So even if you're lifting your arms now or walk into a post box, it all helps. So yeah, tomorrow's about being active. So go for a walk together. Join a local group, move your body, get that connection. Wednesday's about keep learning. So, Phil, if you've got a food recipe you've been dying to try,
No, but
or a hobby, or something, then try it on Wednesday. That's about learning. Then Thursday's about giving. So once again, generosity we know is quite good. So offer time to someone, be kindness, and all small gestures count. So for me, for instance, Thursday, I'm going to go to my coffee shop. I'm going to buy myself a coffee, but I'm going to buy it for the next person who comes in. So just a small thing, and once again, just passing on that giveness. Now, it does do goodness for my mental wellness, I should add. And then Thursday is about take notice. And it's a bit about that pausing, as English would say, smell the roses, practice gratitude, and practice a bit of present moment awareness. So that's what the week is, and more information on the Mental Health Foundation website.
So all that, just taking that on face value, all those activities from Monday through to Friday is great, but they all have a common denominator, and that is once you do it, you feel better.
Correct. Exactly. But it's also good for the community. So you do the act, you're connecting socially with someone. So there's a lot of social isolation out there. I see it a lot. But that once again drives anxiety. So someone, I really should connect with the community. What should I be doing? So that's why I'm encouraging small steps or baby steps to connect. Don't say, okay, I'm going to join this big friendship group. It's the small connections that actually make the difference at the end. Don't set yourself up with barriers or things that are going to not make you succeed.
And we talked about a little bit before off air. I know that Crawford were a pioneer with the green prescription.
Yes.
Like you'd go to the doctor and say, I'm not feeling 100. I'm a little bit off, and the doctor would say, well, do you do any exercise? Go down to the beach, walk along the beach for a little while. You'll feel better. Yeah.
And once again, this, as I said, the science about any exercise, any single exercise is good for you. So there's a brain scientist who was studying the brain, wanted to understand it, and she realizes the best thing for the brain is exercise. Don't forget, everything else is exercise. So a lady called Wendy Suzuki, she's got a great TED talk. But once again, just encouraging anything with exercise, any mobility, anything. Now, I appreciate people have injuries and they have some medical conditions, but even that, just the small things, what can you do in baby steps to improve your overall mental well-being through exercise?
My father was a really, really good runner, and I've grown up with running all my life, so I ran a lot. And people would say to me, why do you run? And I said, well, I run to be a better runner. I don't run to get exercise. If I wanted to get exercise, I'd swim or I'd ride a bike, something that's non-weight bearing. But I run to be a better runner. But then that has its own challenges as well, doesn't it?
Well, in moderation, it doesn't.
No, true.
Yeah, within moderation, it doesn't. So once again, if you look at yourself, go to your medical doctor or connect. We've got a health coach, Sarah, who can give you some advice on that, and or just look at your nutrition and stuff. She's got a great little weight thing that weighs everything up for you in a couple of seconds. So once again, you know your limitations, what are things that you've got that awareness of it.
So it's all probably not the right word, but it's all very holistic.
Correct. No, that is the right word.
Oh, well done me.
Gold star.
Yes. About time I got one.
No, it is all connected, and that's what the Ture Mare way is quite nice, because there's spirituality in it and introduces that spirituality in it. I should add, I'm doing some doctoral research through AUT at the moment, and it's always all about the patient experience, because in the past we've often come up with policies and initiatives,
yes.
whatever, and patients don't connect with it, or go, not for me. So that green prescription, for instance, I wonder how many patients were given it and what was the experience of that green prescription. And it's the same with the health model that we've got at the moment. What are patients' experiences of that? And so in time we'll be doing some research on that. But there's nothing more powerful than the patient telling us exactly what works and what doesn't work.
That it worked, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Otherwise we're just wasting our time.
And clearly you've had some success at this because it's ongoing, so if it wasn't working you probably wouldn't be doing it.
No, well, last year I did over 700 patients that came through, so come through, and typically they only go for 1 or 2 sessions, so don't be shocked by that. And brief sessions do work, so the research shows brief sessions. So it's a little, I sometimes call it like a little waff. Come for your little waff, and we'll check it out. Or if you just need like a software upgrade for mental health, that's other way of looking at it.
So let's just go over it again. If you're struggling, you mentioned love, you mentioned relationship, you mentioned anxiety. But if you're struggling and you're local and you're a registered patient at Crawford, even if you're not, if
you're at any East Healthcare, Trust. So anyone. So I think you broadcast as far as Maraetai. So
yes, we do.
There's one in Beachlands.
Yes.
There's in Botany Junction. So if you go to any doctor and say, by the way, I'm struggling with my mental health, I believe you've got a health improvement practitioner on site. Can I see that person, please? And the doctor will refer you. But the doctors will also pick up in signs and refer you to them, as I said, and it's free. So it's a half an hour free. There's no charge, and you can come back as many times as you like.
Wow, that's a win-win for everybody. It is. I mean, it is.
So it's just getting that promotion and that awareness out there, Phil.
All right, now we mentioned it's Mental Health Awareness Week, all week, and you can go to their website, which is, I wrote it down here.
MHAW?
Yes, .nz. Yeah, and that's got all the tips and...
all the stuff, yeah. So all that stuff you talked about, connect, be active, give, take notice, keep learning. But even if listeners can't, it's just each day, think about your mental wellness. Does it need a little tweak? What can I do today to improve it? And just a small thing will make all the difference.
And I mentioned before about the check-in. Are they working?
When you mean the check-in?
Like ringing a mate. Are you all right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know yourself. If you sit alone all day and you don't connect, what do you feel like? But if you connect, send a text to someone, hey, just thinking about you today. Someone goes, what they're after.
Well, that's the initial reaction, I suppose, but yes.
Yeah, but after a while, I mean, your children, I let my children, my son, my daughters know they love them all the time. I'll send them texts, why do you do that, Dad? No, because I do. I want you always to know that I love you, that you're a part of a part of me and important to me. So small little things like that. And there are a lot of estranged families out there who don't connect or of a small issue. Sometimes, is your mental wellness better or more important to you than that little incident that happened all those years ago?
That's interesting. It's very interesting, actually. It all, the way you've laid it out this morning, it all makes sense. It all connects. You can join the dots.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the idea. As I said, we've come far with mental health, and even talking about it. But it's an ongoing journey still. But it's going well.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in, Sean. I really appreciate it. And hopefully the listeners will get something out of it as well. Remember, it is Mental Awareness Week this week, folks. So take a leaf out of Sean and sometimes my book and connect, be active, give, notice things, or keep learning. If you do that, and you could do that, you don't have to do that just this week. You could do that every week.
Well, that's the idea. It's going to be an ongoing sort of little habits. That's why just do it habitually each week. Just build on it. Keep a chart, keep a diary, whatever, and just look at it. Just you'll know yourself how you make your progress. Next minute you'll know. Oh, look how far I've come.
I feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll welcome and look forward to seeing patients at Crawford or any of the East Health Trust sites around East Auckland.
And obviously it's a doctor-patient relationship, so it's confidential. You're not going to be shouting it from the rooftops.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is people go to doctors because they trust them. So they're not going to give a referral to someone, that they don't trust. So it's a trust, there's a confidential, there's privacy. The only limitation is as we know, is sometimes with self-harm, and we need to obviously raise that awareness, but or action it. But otherwise, it's all totally confidential and within patient confidentiality.
To use a very cliched and well-used term,
yes.
In this situation, you're the ambulance at the top of the cliff, not the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff.
Correct. We're preventative. Spot on. Yeah. But saying that, I need to stress the Mental Health Week is all about a community focus. So it's all about being together as a community. I'm just one individual up at Crawford, but it's the connections you forming in your community, how you're reaching out to people, what you doing yourself makes your mental health better.
So all those, sadly my mother and father are no longer with us, but all those old wives' tales, you should join JCs, or you should join this, or you should join that. Maybe they knew something all those years and years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's the interconnection that we're looking for. But a lot of people are looking for.
I agree, but even so, my father's no longer with me, so just mention, but it doesn't stop me from having a prayer for him. It doesn't stop me thinking about him.
No.
And the Maori have a great way of doing that. They, if they ever do a karakia, they always pray for people that are no longer with us. I think it's a great way of reflecting. But we sometimes move on quickly. We just focus on the people who's present. Where I think you need to just stop once again for your mental health. Say, hey, I'm connected to my past. I'm connected to my parents. And that's very important to me.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever forget. I mean, I don't think it should dominate your life, but you should never forget.
No, agree, totally.
All right, Sean, thanks very much once again for coming in here to East FM.
My pleasure, Phil, and thank you for having me.
Your feedback and see how we go with it. But yes, if you're, like I say, as you heard Sean say, if you're in the East District and you're a registered patient, you can use Sean's services, which is free and fantastic by the sound of it.
Yeah, and we're taking new patients all the time, so great. Thank you.
All right, there is Sean Edwards. Remember, folks, it is Mental Health Awareness Week this week.